Today's video is sponsored by LFS Logistics. Your product, our priority. Relevant links and details, including how to get a quote, are down in the description below. A strange man appeared on a woman's front doorstep, trying to get her attention the best he could. The things that the doorbell camera would catch him saying would go on to shock the tens of thousands of people who saw the video. Lately, doorbells with built-in security cameras and microphones are becoming more and more widely used throughout the United States. The cameras have gone on to capture all sorts of funny, odd, and even scary videos that have gone on to be uploaded online. The video we're going to focus on in this episode definitely falls into the scary category, as it captured the type of spontaneous interaction that is likely the worst nightmare for a great number of people out there. On the evening of July 21st, last year in 2021, a scraggly-looking man with a long beard carrying a shopping bag was walking down a sidewalk on South 6th Street in Las Vegas, Nevada, when he approached the front door of a woman who was home alone. He was caught on the Ring home security camera harassing the woman through the door, making statements that would go on to shock anyone who saw the footage. It's believed that the man first saw her through her kitchen window as he was walking down the sidewalk. She had had the window open as the man walked by. He then stopped in his tracks, turned around, doubled back to the home, and went up to the front door. The man arrived on the front step, appearing somewhat nervous or agitated before knocking. After waiting a moment, he looked through the front glass in the door and he asked a very simple question, or rather, series of questions.
Are you sure? I just rang your doorbell because I have a couple questions for you. Are you sure? I just rang your doorbell because I have a couple questions for you.
You might be wanting to know what he was responding to, what the person inside said to him. Well, that's the strange part. He wasn't responding to anything. The woman inside the home did not respond to him in any way. She didn't even appear at the door. Nevertheless, he continued to ask these questions.
Are you sure? What? Are you sure? I just rang your doorbell because I have a couple questions for you. Are you sure? Are you positive? Are you sure?
The woman later stated that she did not interact with the man in any way throughout the incident. She never responded to anything he said, instead hiding away early on and calling 911. She did not know this man, and the creepy way that he walked by the house, saw her, and backtracked up to the front door raised some red flags in her head, and rightfully so. She was told that officers had been dispatched to her home, but for the time being, she was still there alone, and the man was still at the door, talking to himself.
I just have a couple questions for you. Are you sure? Are you positive? I just have a couple questions for you. Are you sure? Are you positive? Are you sure? Are you absolutely certain?
After a very awkward 2 minutes, the man finally gave up and started to walk away from the home. It was at this time, though, that the woman's husband, who wasn't actually at home, chimed in over the intercom to ask the man who he was, catching him just as he was walking away. "Who are you?" he yelled out. He caught the man's attention, who returned back to the doorstep to look into the camera.
Sure.
So, who are you?
What? Yeah? Are you sure?
Who are you?
Hey, I just had a couple questions. I just wanted to ask you about the TV show.
The man plainly, in what was an oddly calm tone given what he was saying, told the man that he wanted to rape and kill his wife inside, and that he was carrying a knife and a gun, gesturing to the shopping bag he was carrying.
Yeah, can you hear me? What I'm looking for is for the girl that's in the house to come out here because I'm going to rape her and kill her. Can you have her open the door? I'm going to rape and kill the girl that's on the other side of this door when she lets me in. I want to rape her and kill her because I have a knife and a gun. Yeah, and I'm going to knock on her door again.
Needless to say, the husband was left speechless and was likely calling 911 himself. After a few more moments, the man gave up and again started walking away.
All right. Are you sure? No idea. What?
He kept muttering to himself and babbling incoherently as he hung around on the street corner for a bit, looking back at the home from time to time, before finally wandering away for good.
Are you sure? Are you absolutely sure you want that now? Go. They're on the way.
The couple then took the video and uploaded it online, mostly to some local Facebook groups, in hopes that someone would see the video and be able to identify the man. The video went viral seemingly instantly, with it getting over 60,000 views just in the next 24 hours or so alone.
Washington, who lives down the street from where this happened, said the same man went to her door just a few months ago.
He got loud and belligerent and he started screaming, and because my peephole is pretty large, that you could see spit coming out of his mouth, and so I slammed it and I'm screaming through the door, get away from my house. As a woman, as a person, for someone to scream things like that at you is I can imagine it'll keep her on her guard even with this person being in custody.
I wasn't shocked, honestly, in this area, but at the same time, I am a lot more leery about seeing the people that I see walking down the street and making sure I have my protective devices on me.
That next day, the 22nd, at around 8:45 in the morning, someone working in the area of South 3rd Street in Las Vegas realized that she recognized the man from the video. Karen Stewart was working in the lobby of the Clark County Marriage License Bureau at the Regional Justice Center when she recognized that very man walking around outside. She quickly got a hold of a nearby deputy city marshal. Police closed in on the area very quickly, obviously not wanting to let a suspect like this slip away too easily. There was no telling if they would ever get another chance to catch him. They quickly spotted a man who matched the description of the guy in the video. They then arrested him on the spot, having no doubt that this was their guy. When arrested, he refused to identify himself. When asked who he was, he responded with only, "The Holy Spirit." To this, I'm sure the police responded with,
Are you sure? Are you positive? I just have a couple questions for you.
Either way, Las Vegas detectives booked the suspect into the Clark County Detention Center on counts of aggravated stalking, coercion, and obstructing a police officer, likely for providing an obviously false name to the officers upon being arrested. The guy, only being known as John Doe at this point, was thrown into jail. The police tried to identify him, but they weren't really having any luck. When running his fingerprints, they got nothing, and there was really no chance that the guy was gonna suddenly decide to help out and identify himself. A few days later, on the 26th, through currently unclear means, the police were able to learn that John Doe was a fugitive out of California. He was found to be a man named Christopher Sumbs, who was 40 years old at the time. Sumbs had lived all over the United States, including in Washington, Arizona, and Minnesota. This arrest wasn't exactly his first rodeo either. That much was clear by his status as a fugitive out of Los Angeles, but he had also been arrested in Hermantown, Minnesota in the past as well. In that case, he had been arrested for assault causing substantial bodily harm. He was eventually let go on probation, which he violated at some point. The next day, he was wasting away in jail when it was finally time to appear in court. However, Sumbs refused to be transported while in police custody. For some reason, this is a thing I guess you're able to just do, so he wouldn't show up in court until about a month later. On August 19th, Karen Stewart, the woman who had spotted Sumbs walking down the street and reported him, was awarded the Distinguished Citizen Award in Las Vegas for her actions that led to his swift arrest. Then, the next morning on August 20th, Sumbs was back in court. He was given a public defender for the case. This time he appeared in court virtually, so refusing transport likely wasn't an option. It isn't exactly clear on how the hearing went down, but we can assume it didn't go smoothly as the judge was not sure on his ability to undergo a trial, finding that he likely wasn't competent. The judge ordered the case to be sent over to the district court to evaluate whether or not he will even be competent to stand trial. Later on, at the competency hearing in Clark County District Court, another judge ruled that Christopher Sumbs was indeed incompetent. He was then transferred for further treatment, and ideally, over time, he will be restored to competency. A few days later, an order was signed for him to be evaluated. He was then turned over to the state for further physical and psychological evaluations. He will be returned to the court at a future date if he is ever ruled competent enough to stand trial. It still isn't publicly known what was wrong with him. Though the internet assumes meth, but the internet kind of always assumes meth. You know, scraggly beard, crazy attitude meth. But who knows? Now, it's possible that he's due for sentencing next March, so I guess we'll just see if that happens. Once again, thank you for watching my video. Sorry for the shorter length this week. I have been sick as hell and wanted to tackle one of the shorter but still interesting cases. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like, and if you want to see more like it, feel free to subscribe. If you want to help the channel out even further, I do have a Patreon account, which I keep linked in the description below. Speaking of which, shout out to my top patrons: Rick Torres, Farius, Tang, Sass Johnson, Marianne McCurdy, Jewel G, Wafrans, Jules Latona, Arctic Cat, Alan Damiani, Adrian Lawley, Winnicott, Marsh, Buffa Zerk, Lonro, Jewel Movchan, Kim Peak, Lux Alpaca, Charity, Skooky Main, Jackie, Teresa Ferguson, and Mark Barnett. You guys are the best. Thank you again to LFS Logistics for sponsoring this video. Thank you, and good night.